Good morning and welcome to week 5. This is the final week and it's time to really sprint. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the first practice test I took this week was Prep Surrett. They allowed a 23 question test. I got an 83% on it. And I was feeling down about that because I feel like I should be getting much better at these. And I am getting tripped up on the situational questions. It turns out the situational questions are harder than I thought they would be because I get in my head and feel, okay, this seems like the answer, but it seems too simple or it seems too, and I end up second guessing, and that's my problem. So I really need to continue working on that with these practice tests. But I want to give myself a little bit of grace. And for anybody that's studying for the SHRM as well, it's so interesting to be able to see what your starting point was when you first started. Last night I just decided, you know what, I'm going to rewatch my videos that I did. And it was so interesting seeing me jump in. And by the way, I jumped in with no knowledge of how to prep, no knowledge of how to be successful. So I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. And normally I'm a much more structured person, but becoming a parent has made me have to be a little bit more spontaneous and a little bit less structured. There's just things that are going on all the time, and I'm just going to make myself anxious if I'm not sticking to the plan all the time. So, that said, when I was looking at where I was at the beginning of this 5-week journey, it wasn't even that long ago, and I feel so much more confident. The very first test that I took, I got like 50% on. I was not where I need to be. And I was getting tripped up on both the situational and the knowledge questions. Now I feel like I've strengthened my knowledge areas, especially the theories and different things. I'm able to recognize them in these questions and apply them. The problem I'm running against now is really just I need to focus on my strategy for these situational questions. I feel as though I am second guessing myself a lot. I'm trying to get in the head of SHRM, and I end up picking answers that really, if I just gave myself a little bit more time to think about it, I would pick the right answer. So anyway, that's something that I've noticed as I'm reflecting on my journey so far. I've come a long way, and I'm now batting at around 80% on these practice tests. I'm going to try to inch myself closer to 90 if I can. But, I'm doing the best I can, and I only had 5 weeks to prepare. So if I fail, I fail, and I've learned something along the way. That said, I hope I don't fail, and we're going to do our best to not. So let's jump into some of the exam questions that I had an issue with for this 23 question free set. Oh, before I do that, I also have been using Quizlet. They are able to create quiz questions and stuff, and I'll just do those at night. They aren't necessarily structured as SHRM would structure them, but it is helping me with my knowledge-based questions as well. So I'm picking study sets that are just, more generic about HR, or from my flashcards that I pulled from the Basque glossary. So it's creating exam questions. I think it probably uses AI to do so, but it's been very helpful and getting me in the right mindset, I think. All right, enough of that nonsense. Let's get into the exam questions that I took this week that gave me a little bit of trouble. So right off the bat, question 3. I'm going to put the reference on the screen for a moment so you can read along. Feel free to pause. So this question shouldn't have been as hard as it was for me. I answered D, explain to the department heads why employee morale must be addressed. And the correct answer is A, notify the department heads that bullying will no longer be tolerated. Maybe I thought appealing to them and trying to get some buy-in from them would be effective to get them to our side. But at the end of the day, they've created a bullying culture, and I, as the HR professional, would need to nip that in the bud immediately. There are other ways that I can get buy-in from them later, but bullying behavior is not acceptable, and they're not respecting the authority of their supervisor. That is a question I got wrong. I think I know the problem is I know these things, and yet I'm still answering incorrectly. It is what it is. Let's move on. Okay. Next question I'm going to look at is question 13. This was a knowledge-based question. What term refers to the software, online systems, applications, or innovations that automate or simplify tasks within an organization? I answered information systems. The correct answer was business technology, which is a more broad term that encompasses all of them. So workplace resources, reporting systems, information systems are all part of that, but I obviously answered that incorrectly. Just a small one, not a big deal. Okay, next one I want to look at is question 15. I will put the reference up for you. Please pause if you'd like to read it. So where I answered incorrectly, I answered, ask the HR generalist to prepare a written warning according to the manager's request. And the correct answer was actually D, review the employee's file to determine if there had been previous performance management issues. Now, I was thinking along the lines of someone who already is in the know of this behavior that's been ongoing, and the HR generalist saying, well, I don't feel comfortable because I know what it's like being a mom. Like that, get that out of there. We don't need that in the room with us. The manager wants to move forward with written warning, and me, Elizabeth, thinking about this question, I'm thinking, yes, let's do a written warning. This seems like there's no reason not to if all the facts are there. What I was assuming was that the VP of HR was already aware of all that stuff. Now, they're not boots on the ground, and I have to remember that. This is not asking what the perspective of maybe the next higher up who might have a little bit more of that context already. We are looking from the perspective of a VP who has way more strategic and higher up thinking that they have to do. So yeah, it makes sense. You need to gather all the facts before you move forward and make a decision. You've got one person pushing for it, one person being hesitant. Get the facts and then make the decision. And so that's why D was correct and not B. So anyway, there's that. So, yeah, I feel a lot more confident, especially looking back at where I started. I'm feeling a lot more confident going into the SHRM exam. I don't have the luxury of relaxing, though. I really need to push this week. And so we're just going to do it one step at a time. We've got this. You've got this. Let's go do some more studying. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.